While the world shuts down and protests against climate change, which is the inevitable, and climate does change, and it's like everyone arguing, let's shut down everything because it's going to rain on Tuesday. Anyways, no one's out there protesting affordable housing. And when I say affordable housing, I'm saying people making enough to actually get into the housing market. Now, today I want to talk about this very important key topic that is going to affect the next 3 to 5 generations ahead. And it all stems back to housing affordability, and all that stuff. This is the first time where the current generation cannot get into the housing market. This is the first time I think that I know of in my lifetime, my parents' lifetime. This is the first time where this current generation, we'll call them the millennials, just can't get into this. They can't get into this housing market. Now, housing markets back in the day were dependent on income, and they were dependent on, obviously, where interest rates are sitting at, whether we're in a buy or sell market. But most importantly, what drives a housing market is first-time home buyers. Now, we're not getting the first-time home buyers, the fresh blood into the market that we need to basically have a very good, thriving housing market. So what usually happens in a situation like this, the housing market just crashes. Either with oversupply on the market, which we have now, interest rates are historically low, so people are taking on more debt, and that should crash the market because people are severely over leveraged. That hasn't crashed the market. First-time home buyers aren't getting into the market like they used to, and that hasn't crashed the markets. So what is it? Well, a lot has to do with a lot of foreign money walking in to the country. A lot of it has to do with us selling ourselves out to the richest investor. And that's a common thing. A lot of countries have been doing it. Australia has been caught red-handed doing that. So has New Zealand, and so has the United Kingdom. Every English country in the Commonwealth, basically speaking country, has been caught with their hands in the cookie jar, selling out their housing, basically. I mean, they're not opening the countries up to, hey, why don't you come in and invest in our country? Hey, why don't you come in and invest in our potential future of job creation and wealth creation? It's about, why don't you come in, and one of your regulations to become a citizen in our country is to buy a house, a basic house, nothing serious. Oh, okay, well, that gets thrown into the mix, and look what happens. Look what's been happening to us for the last 7, 8 years. Houses are exchanging hands. No fresh blood's coming into the market unless they go to the bank of mom and pops. And cost of borrowing is damn dirt cheap, but the stress test is not allowing the people getting in because they don't make enough money. And it's not about I'm trying to get people to make more money. I think people need to get paid fairly, right? I think I'm not asking for free housing. I'm not even asking for affordable housing. I just want fair wages so that people could get into the current housing market that's not crashing, that's not declining, that's not correcting, right? And the last thing they want to do is the last thing this current administration wants to do, whether it's in the UK or Australia, New Zealand, Canada, is be caught with blood on their hands when the market crashes. They don't want to be in power when this thing all goes to hell. So they're trying to do these first-time buyer loans, easing up on the stress testing, and the stress testing works right across Canada, except in two major areas: the Greater Toronto area and the Lower Mainland up to the Fraser Valley. Here in the province of British Columbia. So the stress testing does work, but it does not work in those bigger cities because why? Housing is just overpriced. Locals can't get into the market anymore. The Canadian proper is finished, the Australian proper is finished, the New Zealand proper is finished, and this is the first time in our history that I know of in my lifetime where this current generation is just not going to get into the housing market. They just can't get into it anymore. Like previous generations, they all got into the housing market. So this is a very strong crippling effect, whether it's the bankers, whether it's the people in power, whether it's governments, whether it's our secret communities that are passing these laws to ban cash and start lowering rates even further, whether it's a massive global conspiratorial takeover, whatever it is, the powers that be don't want to leave this housing market on autopilot. Leave the housing market on autopilot. Let things go the way they are. Stop giving out first-time buyer loans. Stop giving out free money, and then after, it's the biggest Ponzi scheme ever. Let the market correct itself, as it has many times in the past, to allow people to a fresh restart. So people that have been waiting on the sidelines for, I don't know, the last decade now, could finally get in and purchase their homes. And we could revive a proper housing market. Yeah, people could make more money, but I mean, at what cost? Human labor has gone up exponentially since the mid 80s, and there's this huge void of pay. Our wages haven't moved in 40 years, so there's this huge delta of all this human activity, human labor, human production gone up, but then our wages haven't moved. So it's not about working more, because people are overworking themselves right now, and people have lost faith and their hopes and dreams to live the Canadian/American, Australian, UK, New Zealand dream. And that's home ownership. We were embedded with this. I was embedded with this as a child. You're going to grow up, you're going to get an education, and you're not going to flip burgers at McDonald's, and you're going to get a respectful job, and you're going to buy your first house. And one thing that's not being checked off the checklist or the bucket list is buying the first house. And people stop right there. They stop in relationships come to a halt. People don't marry as, because they can't lay roots, and people don't have as big families as they used to because they just don't have the place to do it anymore, or their place they could call home. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to throw this out there. I wanted to kind of get a feel on what you guys think. And this kind of dawned on me. This is the first generation in my lifetime that I've heard of that just can't get into the housing market. And this is going to be a crippling, rippling effect to the next couple of generations. 3 generations from now, they're going to be like, home ownership, that's only for rich investors. That's not for us. That's not for us. My job is to flip burgers all day. I don't know what your job is, but you shouldn't be talking to me. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I really want to know how you guys weigh in on this. This is very important because they need to leave things on autopilot. They need to let markets ease up. They need to stop with this crap. It needs to get fixed. Something needs to get fixed here because it's crippling our way of life, and it's massaging people into believing instead of being out protesting climate change, they should be out protesting the tens of thousands of homeless across LA County and 10 cities in Vancouver and 10 cities all over Sydney and Melbourne. They need to start issuing not free homes, because a lot of these people that are homeless work full time. They're just homeless. They're displaced. Comment below, let me know.